Hi everyone and welcome. This is the Adobe Live show this week, a week dedicated to editorial design with amazing guests, and we will be live for 2 hours with Stefanie.
Hi.
Okay, I'm super excited to host this show, and also very interested in the topic that you chose, which are dead plants. So it sounds a little bit dramatic, but actually she's trying to find beauty in the ugliness, maybe, of life, and these plants, they can live again, they can resurrect. So I think, you will see, and this is a beautiful composition. So this is the third day. We will recap together what you did maybe on day 1 and day 2, okay? And as always, we have the chat and win. Be ready to be active in the chat. Today we are giving away something cool. I'm not sure what we're giving away. Oh, we're giving away this. The Creative Cloud pillow.
Cute.
Have you heard of it?
No.
So if you sleep on it, you wake up the next morning more creative.
Can I try?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We will see if it works.
Do, like miracles and everything.
So yeah, the Creative Cloud pillow. It's super cute. I really like this cute shape. So we will give it away in about 30 minutes. Okay, stay tuned. How can you win this pillow? Just be active in the chat. Say hi. Let us know where you're from. Feel free to ask questions to Stefanie during the show. And this will be fun. And also today we have something exciting because we want you to share a link to your portfolios, your Behance portfolio, especially if you're a graphic designer, even better if you are an editorial designer. And then our team will select 2 portfolios that we will review together at the end of the show. So it's your chance to get feedback from Stefanie on your work, but also mainly on how you present yourself, okay? How you market yourself on Behance. We will try to give you the best advice and tips and tricks to improve your presence on Behance, okay? Great, so we have friends watching already. Oh, Ryan, good to see you back. We have Mariam, Walter. Yeah, so I keep an eye on the chat.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to ask questions. Hi, Adriano, good to see you again. Hi, Ingrid from Berlin. And let's maybe recap what you did on day 1 and day 2 and share your plan for today.
Yeah. So this week I've been working on a 16-page zine. As you said before, the topic is dead plants. I'm really fascinated by that transformation that plants and flowers go through when they wilt. So I started doing real quick sketches over the past year, where for example, if I have like some tulips at home and after a couple days they dry and they form these really interesting shapes, so I started creating these quick drawings. We started with the cover on Tuesday, first day. We have a white illustration on this like orange background, and then we also worked on the logo for the cover.
Yeah, beautiful D-down typeface. Which one is this? Do you remember?
This is OGG, O-G-G.
Okay, OGG, O-G-G.
It's very spiky on some parts.
Oh, like the spikes of a rose.
Yeah. So we have like this illustration wrapping around the type, which is kind of interesting. And we continued that on the first spread, where I have like a really big quote in the same typeface, and then similar illustrations wrapping around the type.
Awesome.
I have a color palette that I use throughout, which is kind of fresh, fun colors to juxtapose that dying of the plants. I continue with the same quote on the second spread and also add some more illustrations to this. And then yesterday we worked on this purely typographic spread, which is the story of the frog prince, story of a frog that transforms into a prince, and I felt it was interesting having the type condensed more and more throughout the story. So it's kind of like the opposite of what is happening in the story. So the ugly frog transforms into the beautiful, handsome prince, and the type, on the other hand, does exactly the opposite. So in the end, it's like not legible anymore. And then we started on the fruit and vegetable joke spread.
The jokes, depends. Yeah. If you need more jokes today, I'm sure you would be keep being creative in the chat.
I'd love to hear more. So I have 2 spreads dedicated for this. The first one I titled Speechless. We added these paper cutouts that I scanned in and added photos on top. I got the photos from Adobe stock. And then we added some questions, and then the answer is turned upside down so you're not able to see them immediately. So what we're going to do today is continue on the next spread with the same theme but different jokes and different images.
Okay.
And then afterwards I have 2 blank spreads right now, which I'm going to fill with more flower illustrations and type on path.
Oh, type on path, yeah. Which will be the first time you will use type on path in this document or not?
Yeah, first time in this document.
Awesome. So yeah, I think you understood what's going on here. We need more jokes, including fruits. Okay, so which one did you use already? The peach?
I have
You have
tomatoes, peppers, lemons, eggplants, and cabbages.
Okay, so let's see what you will find.
Yeah, so
today.
The images that I have left are for the melon, the pear, the apple, and another pepper.
Okay.
So I'm gonna place them in here.
And we have friends in the chat who are really fans of the colors that you picked.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna also do the same kind of headline style on this one. I wanted to call this World Peace.
We have a joke by Shauna. You want to read the joke?
Yeah. What did the lettuce say before eating? Let us pray. That's pretty good.
That's good. That's a good one.
Yeah. Gonna turn this around and place it in here.
Giovanni also, why was the cabbage sad? His friends were in a pickle.
I love that one. I just love like dad jokes. That's my thing. So with the title, I'm going to place it in a clipping mask so that it cuts off in the edges.
Okay. So clipping mask could be any shape, right?
Yeah, it could be a circle, it could be anything.
So you just select the text or any element, actually it could be a picture with another shape, and you say use this shape as a mask. And can you go back to the mask after, or we just can you edit the mask after? Yeah.
Yeah, I can, for example, take this and edit the clipping mask and just like cut it.
Awesome.
And also I can still edit the live text. I can move the whole text box around if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thinking about how I should lay out the images, maybe somewhere up here. So if anybody has any fun jokes for apples or melons, pears, and peppers, keep them coming.
Oh, I'm sure they will find something.
Just like rotating them around a little bit to get like an interesting composition.
Okay. Yadira says you're the apple of my eyes.
Oh,
That's cute.
That is cute.
Thanks, Yadira, for watching us again this week. Always good to see you in the chat.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
Yadira, very good designer. I think she won again yesterday, no?
Yeah.
Her design has been picked by one of our guests.
I think that was me.
Yeah, you picked her design. Oh, good job. Okay, Catherine. Okay, what do you get when you cross an apple with a shellfish? a shellfish. Get a crab apple.
Oh.
Okay, it worked.
Yep, that's good.
She's the judge, okay?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna take the same text styles I have previous page, paste them in. I have some jokes myself. Well, but I was hoping that if there's any better for these.
You're challenging
yeah.
them. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are your jokes? And we'll see if they can find better ones.
Okay, so for the pair, I have where do fruits go on vacation? Paris.
Okay.
For the apple, I have what did the apple skin say to the apple? I've got you covered.
Oh, that's cool. It can work with a lot of fruits, by the way.
Yeah, that can work with other fruits. What did the cantaloupe say to the watermelon when it proposed? Honey, I do. And then for the last one, which is a bell pepper, I just have, I'm trying to think of another pepper joke, but nothing rings a bell.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one.
So if you have any other suggestions, chat.
There's something here called a jack pepper or pepper jack, no?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah?
Isn't that a cheese?
Yeah, so maybe
Yeah.
they will find something. Pepper and cheese, and I'm sure they will find something. Catherine liked the pepper one. It would be a hard one to beat.
What did the fuzzy fruit yell on a roller coaster? Kiwi!
Kiwi! So you like that jokes, yeah?
Yeah.
Guess you were happy with all these series of videos happening like this year and last year, when you had to compete with someone. Have you tried, no?
No.
In your agency?
No. So what was the other one that,
Oh.
yeah, the apple.
It was something with when you cross an apple with a shellfish,
yeah.
I think.
What happens, maybe?
Yeah.
When you cross an apple.
Yeah. Oh, it was, what do you get when you cross an apple with a shellfish?
Okay. The shellfish. Okay, gonna place that one in for the apple.
It's a tribute to Catherine Dodson. She shared the joke.
Thank you, Catherine.
Editorial is asking, so do you tend to change the color of your interface? So the UI probably of InDesign, in this case, depending on what you're designing. Like if you design for the web, you prefer a dark theme or...
No, I usually just have different themes for the different programs, so I know in which program I'm at, because like sometimes if you're working, like you might not notice where you're in if it all has the same color. And I like the light UI for InDesign just because it's like the old school like color for InDesign, so I just like to keep that. And for Photoshop and Illustrator, I have the darker one. Especially for Photoshop, I feel like when you're working and retouching images for hours sometimes, it's better on the eye if it's darker.
I agree. And I think that in the settings you can also change the shades of gray, like if you want a dark gray or lighter gray.
Yeah.
So you could have like two different shades for Photoshop and Illustrator also. But I like this feedback I use different colors for the 3 tools I use, so it's less confusing.
Yeah.
It happens a lot, when you have like, let's say Illustrator and Photoshop open, and you click on the wrong toolbar. Like you work in Photoshop and you click on the toolbar of Illustrator, which is in the back.
Yeah, I
Happens all
sometimes
the
have
time.
that too, and I don't notice, and then I'm just like, where's my work now? It's all gone. But I find that interesting, the thought that you change your UI depending on what you're working on in the same program. I haven't thought about that yet, but kind of makes sense. if you
Don
want to
Mary
have
says
more
that
contrast.
drives me crazy. Yeah, me too. When it happens.
Yeah.
And the most confusing experience is for the. So I don't know if you heard of Adobe XD. It's our tool, to design and prototypes screens mainly, like to do screen design. And the XD team here, they design XD in XD.
Mm-hmm. Wait.
You see?
How does that even work?
So they have the XD UI in Adobe XD, so they can design new features.
But isn't that like very confusing when you do
It's super confusing.
You think you can
Because
move something around and then it's actually the UI and not what you designed?
We have friends in the chat excited by the new XD update. Yeah, it was a strong one with fixed elements and overlays. Super cool one. There is more coming soon. XDception. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah, so have all the jokes in here. I'm just gonna make sure that all the distances between the type are the same.
Okay, so how do you do that? You create a fake shape and
that's.
you move it around.
I feel like this is the easiest way to do. So you actually use where the type ends and where it doesn't, because I feel like if you just
check the coordinates.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mathematics for nothing.
Because every type has a baseline, I feel like, on a different level.
That's true.
Like here you see that the text box, like I can't make the text box smaller anymore and there's still a gap.
Yeah.
So I just try to do it this way.
Okay.
Also because in type all the round letters extend below the baseline, so I want to make sure that it's like all aligned.
Yeah, it's very clear on the A. Here you can see it's that the rounded part of the A
sticks
is
out.
not at the same level.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, now I'm gone. Yeah, and then I like to check that this is sort of aligned.
Okay.
Doesn't need to be 100% perfect. I feel like since this is going rounder, this might should stick inside a little bit, but I just want to check that it's not totally off. And yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing for all of these here.
Ryan is asking, is there a shortcut to snap the text box to the size of the type? Oh, I guess if you increase the size of the type,
I usually just, if I have the
you
text
do it
box, I
manually.
just double click.
To extend it.
And then it should shrink down.
There we go. Double click on the corner.
Yeah, the edge. Could either do like the bottom or top part.
Katie Drake has a new joke for you, if you want to read it.
Oh, yeah.
So third line from the bottom.
What do you call a nosy pepper? Jalapeno business. I don't get that one.
No, maybe we're missing the reference, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Because you're from Austria.
Yeah.
I'm from France, so maybe we're
language is
missing
German.
something. A nosy pepper. All up in your business. Okay. That's what is difficult with jokes. It sometimes doesn't translate for us. It's like none of your business. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good to know. Tim, he's from Germany. Also, he needed some explanations too. Okay. Jalapeno business.
Yeah, I feel like
I get it now.
the jokes are always kind of difficult in other languages. Like I studied French and Spanish in school. I can't speak a word anymore because I've never used it after I
never
studied.
practiced.
And we had like this segment at one point where we were reading jokes in French, and I was just like, I don't find this funny, I don't understand, because you just missed the cultural reference.
And French jokes are usually not funny, even for French people. So if you we are not like as good as British people, for instance, are very good with a sense of humor.
Yeah.
In France, it's okay.
So I kind of feel like we're sort of done with this spread. Layout-wise, I might just move this a little up, get some variation.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we can move on to the next spread, which is about the type on path.
I like how this is overlapping on the O.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's funny with words when you find the limit where you can still read, even if you completely remove a character.
Or when you condense it like crazy. At some point you can't read it anymore. So last chapter, last two spreads, I have still these illustrations that I made, and I think that I'm going to color them in a different color. So I still have one color that I haven't used yet in my color palette, which is a light green. Okay. So if I go back in here, this green I haven't used yet. So I'm just gonna pick the hex code and copy it into Photoshop.
You used a layer to colorize what's happening below. Okay.
I can explain that. So what I did is I have this illustration that I did in real life in red.
Okay.
And I scanned it in high res. And afterwards, I went in to Photoshop and turned it black and white, so I get also more contrast. Sometimes I might add like a layer of either exposure, brightness, and contrast to bump up the contrast even more, especially if the paper is maybe off-white. And then I go in and add a color layer and just play with different blending modes. In this case I use lighten, and then I add another one just to make it a bit more saturated. So this one's gonna be green, and then I have another one where I feel like I could use the lilac that I have on the previous page. So this one.
And they want to know if you could remind them how you found or how did you pick the color palette for publication?
Sure, I can show you my mood board.
Okay, so you started with a mood board?
Yeah, usually what I do is for any project I would go and either take photos of things or go on the internet and look for interesting references. In this case, I only made a mood board just for the color, not for type or design or anything. So I just chose a bunch of images where I felt that the colors felt very fresh and fun. And from these, I just picked 5 colors. So I have this light blue, lilac, reddish orange, yellow, pink, and light green. And then from there, I just dropped it into InDesign and then color picked it and added it to my color palette here.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna color this one lilac.
Hi, Party House Berlin. Thanks for joining and watching. So we're live with Stefanie. This is the 3rd episode. So if you missed the first 2 episodes, they are available in the replay section on behance.net/live. And now you can filter also. You can say, okay, I want to filter and only watch the live episodes which deal with graphic design. And you will find Stefanie because it was just on Tuesday and Wednesday. And we're finishing this beautiful, how do you call it? Is the zine or?
Yeah, I would call it a zine.
A zine, 16 pages
about
about dead plants.
Yeah, I like working with like very loose format because I feel like a zine needs to be kind of playful, very loose, not adhere to too many rules. It's kind of fun. Also, I like playing with the previous spread here, where usually if you work in editorial design, you really want to make sure that everything is super legible and easy to understand. And in the spread, I just like was like, oh, now I can destroy the type. I can just like make it as illegible as possible, and that is kind of fun to
but
do.
what is funny in this case is that you picked a story that everyone knows. So if I read like the first paragraph, I say, oh, okay, that's the story of the frog and the prince. So I already know the end. So actually, I don't have to read the end.
Yeah, that's true. It's more like of a conceptual piece where it's more about juxtaposing what is happening in the story. So if we go back in here, I might add another headline for this. I have these little like sentences that I sometimes write down to remind myself every day.
Okay.
So I'm gonna call the spread Daily Reminder.
And do you already have a paper in mind for the zine, like if you have to print it?
Yeah, so I was thinking of printing it in newsprint, so it's gonna be like very thin paper,
so
like off-white. So it's gonna be interesting because I don't know yet how the colors will turn out, because I have a lot of pages that have full bleed color, so it might be that in the end they mix, or that this, for example, is definitely going to bleed through.
Yeah, the printer won't be happy with this one. Like my black ink, so precious.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see how that turns out. It's definitely gonna be interesting. For this one, since I actually want to keep all the type sizes the same, but it doesn't fit, and I actually want to have it all in one line, I'm gonna cheat a little bit and work with the kerning.
The kerning, okay.
Because I feel like anyway, areas like the LY and the DA feel very far apart. So what I'm gonna do is just go in here in this tool.
Okay.
And when I hold shift, I can actually jump.
Oh yeah, by 10, values of 10.
25,
or 25 in this case, yeah.
So I'm gonna do that. See if it at one point fits. Maybe a little bit here.
Yeah.
Just trying to find as much little spaces where I can just reduce it.
And maybe the two words, between the two words? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe a bit there too. Let's see. So I want this to be kind of cut off a little bit. Yeah, the R is still not 100% in there. Because I need to keep a 15 millimeter margin on the outside, like a border, a white border, because newsprint can't print full bleed, so have a bit of a restriction there.
And again, this is because you want to keep the same
the type size the same, and I actually just want to have it in one row and not on several lines. Yeah, I'll just put it in a clipping mask now to see how it looks, and then maybe move it around a little bit. So I cut it and then paste into the shape.
Okay, to see if we can still read it.
Yeah. So gonna move it up a little bit. Yeah, the R is still problematic. I feel like
because it could be a B, a P.
Yeah,
that's the
maybe even.
I feel that
tiny bit
might be easier to anticipate daily, like to understand that this is daily.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very close.
Yeah. Maybe a tiny bit somewhere, and then I think we're good.
Yeah. Awesome. Caroline says, it's nice to see that someone else is changing the kerning too. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Especially for headlines, I guess.
Yeah, especially for headlines, I would always go in and change it a little bit if you see something that is totally off. I felt like while I was typing in daily, I was already seeing that between the L and the I, definitely in the D and the A, there was too much space. But in this case, I went into a bit of an extreme with it, just so it fits in here.
It's also because you have typefaces that are designed for headlines, actually, optimized for headlines, and some are more for the, just a classic text component of your composition. And in this case, maybe this one is more for, because it's a classic D-down font, like since with a serif. So maybe this one hasn't been designed for headlines. Yeah.
Maybe.
So that's why the kerning is not optimized. You found it on TypeKits?
No, this one I haven't.
You remember the Foundry?
The Foundry was Village Type, I think. Or Sharp
There was
Type?
one by Sharp. Maybe that's the one.
Oh,
you
yeah.
used? Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely for the text. Because they manage all the beautiful ligatures and stuff. Okay.
I like playing with this one because it feels very sharp and different. It's kind of fun playing around with that.
You feel that the typeface by Sharp feels sharp.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to this studio based in New York. And it's time for the chat and win.
Yay!
Are you ready? Okay, so let's play a short video introduction, and after I will explain how you can win the Creative Cloud Pillow. Okay, so how can you get this Creative Cloud Pillow so soft? It worked.
Yeah.
So creative today. So like with the
It's crazy.
buttons, the kerning. So it's super easy. If this is the first time you're watching Adobe Live, you just have to sign in and say something in the chat. Say hi, where are you from? You see it's already starting. So do like all the other viewers, because we have a script that will randomly pick someone and we will ship it to you. It would be nice if we could just do like that. And on the other side of the world you will receive the pillow, but no. We still have to use mailing services. Okay, so you're very active, and we will display now. It's completely automated. When we started, we used to have a sticky note, like a post-it with Gus handwriting on this. It took 15 minutes to understand what he wrote, and now here we go. We already have the winner. So you want to read the name?
Caroline Haynes.
Yeah, good job, Caroline.
Yay!
Caroline Haynes. So we will send you a message on Behance. Okay, make sure to quickly and regularly check your inbox. We will exchange information, and you will receive this beautiful pillow. Okay, and when you receive it, like it's and for all the previous winners, take a picture and share it with us, maybe on Twitter or Instagram, adding the Adobe Live hashtag. It's always fun. Like yesterday, we noticed someone who received a pillow, and the dog was playing with the pillow, so they recorded the video. So it's always fun to share, when you receive one of the chat and win giveaway. So awesome.
Amazing.
And keep sharing your portfolios. Okay, if it's not the case, we explain how to do it in the portfolio review tab next to the chat tab, because in about 1 hour we will review 2 portfolios. Okay, so if you're a graphic designer, especially if you're an editorial designer and you want to get feedback from Stefanie on your work and how you present your portfolio, share the link with us. Okay, there is a portfolio review tab again, and we explain how you can share a link with us. We will select 2 portfolios during this show. If your portfolio hasn't been selected during the previous show or the next show, or this show, submit it again. Okay, there is another opportunity because we will welcome Lucas and Michael Jarrett during the next shows. It will be in 90 minutes, and they will review also again 2 more portfolios.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see all your amazing work. So definitely keep them coming.
And Caroline, okay, let me see where she's from.
Yeah, she said it needs to travel far. curious.
It's going to travel a long way. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, she's in the UK.
Oh, nice.
And I think Caroline was the one happy to see you playing with kerning. So
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
here we go.
So I'm just gonna make all these illustrations kind of big.
Okay.
I'm also gonna, both of them, make them multiply just because they still have a white background.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, since this is overlapping a little bit, it might not, like one of the illustrations might actually cut off then. So just gonna play around with the placement a little bit.
Did you use a pastel? Like, what did you use to draw on paper?
It's like a wax,
okay.
like a crayon almost.
Like a Crayola.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel like this is nice. I might start with the type on path. It's always fun to play around with that a little bit. So for this section, I have these sentences that I just every now and then write down to remind myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, for example, one of them is you don't have time for bullshit, or you don't have to. Like, everything's gonna be fine. There's no need to be rude, or there's no point in doing whatever. So it's like all these like little sentences that I just keep down sometimes in my notebook.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna place them in here and play around with the type on path.
Nice. So type on path. Do you plan to go around your illustrations?
Yeah,
Okay, so you leverage the structure of your illustrations to type path. Oh,
Yeah.
this will be interesting
So,
to see how it floats in the air.
yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm taking the pen tool and I'm making a path. Maybe I'll just remove the color just to have the outline so we can see where this goes. Thinking about just doing it along the way here. I'm going to lock first
The
of all,
illustration or
yeah,
the path?
Yeah, the illustration. So I'm going to move the path on a different
to a
layer.
top layer. Okay, that's a good trick.
And then I'm going to lock the illustration layer so I don't accidentally do anything with it.
Okay.
And then I select the path. I go hold the type tool and then select type on a path tool. And then if I click in here, oh, this is really big. I'll just paste this in. I think I'm gonna change the typeface to Futura. Let's do medium. And
Good.
maybe even a bit smaller.
Again, today we have people from all around the world. I see Hussein is watching from Tunisia. We have Veronica watching from the Czech Republic.
Oh, nice.
Two beautiful countries.
Yeah. And then the word that I highlighted, I felt like maybe I'll just play around with something funky. So I'm just gonna make it all caps italic. And then afterwards, so I feel like here the curve is still a bit weird. So I might go in and just change that a little bit.
We have Carson from Malaysia. Whoa.
Hello, that's so far away.
Nico from Brazil. Carlos from Bogota in Colombia.
Wow, that's amazing.
Will, you're also from Brazil. That's awesome. We have more and more designers watching from Latin America.
Nice.
South America. Yeah. And we have all the continents. Yeah, this is great.
Amazing. So I'm kind of happy with this curve, and then I'm just gonna remove the stroke. So it sits nicely on that little leaf. Just gonna continue with some more.
Okay. What is your relationship with the pen tool?
I work with it a lot.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, there is definitely a learning curve.
Yeah.
And it's a very frustrating tool at the beginning, and then you get addicted to it. I know.
Yeah.
I really love the pen tool now.
I also feel like there is a big difference between the pen tool in Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. I think they work a bit differently in a way. I think that for me personally in Illustrator, it's much easier to work with.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I think in InDesign I sometimes have trouble selecting certain points.
Ah, interesting.
I think because, I don't know, maybe it's in my settings that it's not as sensitive or something, but I prefer it in Illustrator. Or that's also where I work with it most. Maybe that's why I'm more comfortable with it there. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's continue.
Don Mary also had this love-hate relationship with the pen tool.
Yay.
Hated it first, and now favorite tool.
Yeah, it's fun to work with.
And Dora is asking, sometimes is a Wacom tablet for some project.
I used to use the Wacom tablet sometimes, but more for illustration. So I used to do illustration in Photoshop sometimes, where I use a lot of brushes, and there I feel like it's easier with the pen tool. Also, sometimes if you cut out things in Photoshop and like mask them, it's nicer.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's more
To
like a
create a
brush, it's like easier to do that than with a mouse. But for designing, I like to keep to the mouse or the trackpad, just because I feel like when I use the pen, I don't know why, but I just drag stuff around accidentally. Like especially in InDesign, sometimes I just have a text box on the outside. I'm like, where did it go? Like, it's gone. I think that also takes practice. I probably didn't have like enough patience with it to actually stick with it.
Yeah, and I agree, like for Illustrator and InDesign, the mouse can be super efficient. But when it comes to digital painting, as soon as you use the brush, just having the freedom of using the pressure, it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah. Definitely, because then you can, like if you're drawing in Photoshop and you actually use the pressure to achieve different transparencies or thicknesses of brushes. So that's a really great tool.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't
It's a
know
big
why
typeface.
Came so
There we go.
huge. Okay, and then this one's gonna be the same as this.
The funky one.
Yes. Okay, cool. You have 3 more to go on this spread. So maybe I'll start playing around with it on this side. There's some interesting shapes over here. Nice curves.
And is it your first zine, or the personal one, or?
I used to make like little books for myself, not like short 16-page zines, more like longer books that have different topics. So actually there's 2 of them up on Behance. If you want to have a look at those. One of them was more typographic on the second project, which is I did a lot of letterings that year, and I was traveling a lot, so I felt like I wanted to compile that all into one book. So it's all like cut out of the paper.
Manually?
Yeah. And then I have these colored pages behind it, and then in between those chapters I have some images.
Wow, look at...
Yeah, that was a couple weeks of work. I had to start over sometimes because I accidentally cut too far and then the whole piece fell off. Yeah, that was
So I guess there is just one issue of this one.
Yeah, there is just one.
Very limited edition. Oh, that's cool.
No.
And you were mentioning a second one?
Yeah, it's that, this
one?
Yeah. So this
Italy,
was
or
also a travel journal
In
kind
Italy?
of. Yeah, I did a trip in Italy, and
Nice.
so I took those letterings for every province that we visited around the lake, and then some illustrations. And yeah, in between are like images and some text, kind of journal style, just like writing what happened that day
Oh.
and what we did and what we saw.
It's amazing.
That's kind of fun.
It's very well documented too. With pictures. Nice.
Yeah, it was a fun trip.
With the Wacom bamboo.
Yeah. Yeah, this curve is interesting here. Okay, I'm gonna place in next one, saying everything will be just fine. Yeah, this is gonna be big again. I wonder why. I think
Maybe the style is selected.
Yeah,
Here
I'm
we
still
go.
in the not good. Okay. This one. Cool. And then we have 2 more for this spread. Maybe placing one like down here in the curve could be interesting. And then maybe one up here or over here.
Transitioning from the page 1 to page 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Diogo Costa is asking a question like, did you create the font for those projects? So I guess the one I was showing. So all the lettering on the first project, something that you
all
did.
handmade. Yeah.
Handmade lettering. But have you ever created a typeface for headlines? Or, like not a full character set, because I know it takes 2 years.
No, I never made like a full character set. But I do custom logos where I just like create the type from scratch for these like 5 to 10 letters in the word. So yeah, I do that quite a lot. I enjoy doing that because I feel like most typefaces are not made to be like displayed in that way and in the way a logo is. So a lot of it is like especially made just for text so that it's legible when it's small. Some of it is made for really big headlines, and I just like playing around with something that is more custom tailored to just that client and the brand. So yeah, do that quite a lot. Okay, next one is no need to be rude, which is also, I feel like, something you always have to remind yourself every day, because when you're like working and maybe stressed out, talking to other people, there's no need to be rude, because, for example, I feel like I always think about that when I'm calling, I don't know, about my internet, because my internet's not working and I'm really frustrated about this. The person on the phone, like, it's not their fault, and they get those calls every day, so should be nice to people. Yeah, and then I'm gonna add the 5th one right here in the center, which is gonna be interesting because since I'm doing newsprint, it might actually not line up perfectly in the center. But I don't mind, since this is meant to be cheap and quick and fun.
And we'll see which quote you will use, because maybe it will just, trunk a word that is easy to read.
Yeah, maybe.
Like a generic word, such as with or,
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, there's no point. This is really short. Maybe it actually fits just on the first side.
Yeah, to be on the.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is short. Nice. Okay. Maybe I'll move it a bit.
Yeah.
And then adjust the curve. Oh, what is here? A little bit.
Which typeface did you use for the The no and stuff like that.
That is also OG, but it's a
It's also
italic
OG.
version of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It
that's the one
feels
you use
very
for the
different.
titles.
Yeah,
It feels very different.
Yeah, that's why I like it. It has a lot of character, and depending on how you apply it, it feels very different. Also, if you have it in title case, it feels so different than in all caps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. So that is the daily reminder. We have one more spread to go. Same theme, but different illustrations.
Mhm.
And I'm also going to add another headline.
And Basilio is asking what about removing the period from that line?
Here?
Because maybe you say there is no point.
Oh, that is a
It
good
could be
point.
a good Easter egg.
Yeah,
you're
okay,
just-
I'm gonna remove it. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, and then here, going to add another headline.
And you still have about 30 minutes to submit your portfolios, okay? So if you're watching, graphic designer, even better if you're an editorial designer, check the portfolio reviews tab next to the chat tab on behance.net/live, and we explain how you can submit the link to your portfolio. We will select 2 portfolios that we will review with Stefanie in about 39 minutes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
So this page again is is it the? It's not the back cover. It's the.
No, it's
the end.
it's the end.
Okay.
The back cover is still in the back. It has the same color as the cover in the front, so it's gonna be orange red.
Mhm.
And here I'm just like adding the end, and then just one more illustration and some type on path, and then we're done. Let me see, I think this one was the one that I wanted to place in. Light blue squiggle.
Nice.
Gonna turn this, multiply, and actually this should be in the probably background illustration layer.
It's also fin in Spanish. Ah, okay.
Oh, nice.
It's fin in French, fin in Spanish.
Let's see, I'm gonna move around the illustration a little bit, see if it creates any interesting shapes with the font. Maybe a little bit up.
Mhm.
Maybe a bit smaller. It's kind of nice when it goes in there. Maybe this way.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay.
Looks like almost like a path or
Yeah.
through a maze, and then it
Oh, yeah.
ends on the fin.
Yeah.
That's the final path.
Yeah.
That's good.
Cool. So I'm just going to add some more type here.
Actually, you see the dot is almost on a crossing section.
Maybe I'll move it down a little bit. But then I want it also to touch
Crossroads,
over
yeah.
there, so maybe a bit bigger. kind of like this. No?
It's nice.
Almost. Yeah, so next type on path. Maybe we'll do somewhere over here or there. This could be nice. Just going up, or maybe the other way around. This.
Yeah, it has an impact where you start with the
Yeah,
path.
so if I start on the path down here,
Then the
letter would
sentence
be here.
Okay.
If I start up there, the letter will be here, but you can actually flip that afterwards too.
Okay.
I just feel
That's
like
good to
it's
know.
one less step if you
Yeah.
actually start on the right side.
So it's really how you will read. Okay. Maybe we can ask our friends if they have daily reminders too.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the daily reminders? You were just like taking notes in a sketchbook?
Yeah, I sometimes just take notes. I have usually the notes app on my iPhone where I just keep all my to-do lists for every day, like what I need to achieve that day, like even simple things like picking up dry cleaning or something. And then I also have longer term goals in there, and I also sometimes just write down some thoughts that I have.
Okay.
Yeah, so I keep track of everything in there.
Okay, there's like who is in the chat like writing something every day? It's a good practice too. This is what Rachel did for a year.
Yeah, I haven't had like I don't write real journals really. I feel like there are a lot of people that do that sit down and at the end of the day and actually write down what they experienced that day and what happened. But I think I'm not as dedicated.
No, but just writing every day, I think it's a good practice.
Yeah,
You don't have to relate your experience, just write something.
I also find it nice just to kind of gather all your thoughts and think about and process what happened and what comes next. I find it very comforting and relaxing in a way to do that.
It helps with the anxiety.
Yeah.
Hi, Carthan. Thanks for watching and being part of the Adobe Live community. This is great. So we go live every week, except next week.
Oh,
you know why?
Oh, yeah, holiday.
Yeah,
Oh,
holidays.
holiday.
It's actually all the Adobe offices in the US will be closed.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's also because 4th of July is like right on Wednesday, so it's like in the middle of the week.
So it's always the week of 4th of July.
That's nice. It's fun.
So no live stream next week, but we will be back in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's good.
With photographers.
Oh, fun. I'm going to watch that, definitely.
Yeah, if you like photography, we have amazing guests. And they work for... they partner also some photographers with Tiny Atlas Quarterly, which is a beautiful quarterly magazine. And we will talk about travel photography, landscape photography, and mobile photography. So yeah, it will be super interesting to get their insights on. I'm really looking forward like travel photography.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed on what type of equipment, and also the time you spend on the picture.
But it also makes you want to just go somewhere all the time. If you just see those images, you're like, oh, I want to travel there too.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it has a good impact on us.
Yeah. Yeah, I like reading travel magazines and travel guides and all these things just because I feel like it's very inspiring just to read about different cultures, different places, see landscapes, cities, and all that. It's really interesting.
Yeah. And some guides, such as I really like Lonely Planet.
Me too.
Yeah, you learn so much.
Yeah. It's really fun. It's actually how I was trying to spend some time doing touristy stuff while here in SF. So I was trying to find all the information on Lonely Planet. First day I went somewhere further north where I can see the Golden Gate Bridge, just by the beach.
And could you see it?
Yeah. But it was a bit foggy, but I was able to just see it. Yeah. So it was not bright red.
Okay, so you went to Ocean Beach, I guess.
Chrissy Field Beach.
Nice.
Yeah, and then afterwards the Palace of Fine Arts, which is really, really beautiful.
Okay.
Has a really nice garden. It's like this big building that has this dome. And it has a little pond around it and a nice garden. It's really, really nice. And yesterday just walking around Golden Gate Park and the Japanese tea garden. It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
cute.
Very cute, yeah.
Yeah, and the Conservatory of Flowers. I took some pictures of a lot of flowers that have interesting shapes, so I know that I already have some material for new
For the
drawings.
second issue.
Yeah.
Dead Plants, Volume 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Let us know when you're ready with the second issue and you can come back to
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
Designer Cloud.
It's gonna be like my theme. Like every time I have like enough material to do another issue, I'm gonna come back.
You say, I'm ready.
Oh.
Carson is using Google Street to travel. It's actually quite smart.
That's nice. I like doing that sometimes too. Just like so I know where, like how the neighborhood looks like when
Yeah.
I walk through somewhere. Because sometimes I'm just like, well, I don't have any plan. Like I have another hour and I might just want to explore some neighborhood. So sometimes I just like have a look and see if it's worth walking like an hour over there. And yeah, sometimes do that.
And some places like the Louvre, like some museums, they use the Google Street technology
Oh,
inside.
yeah,
And
that's so fun.
it's amazing.
There's I can't remember the name, but there is this one photographer, artist, person who does take screenshots of Google Street View
Yeah.
views and publishes that as her art or his art. I'm not sure, but it's super interesting. Where I'm just like, this person is traveling all over the world basically just through Google Street View, and publishes these amazing images. Sometimes they're like really funny snapshots.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's curating a Google Street.
Yeah, it's cool. It's amazing that technology enabled
Yeah.
like seeing the whole world from your, I don't know, from your desk, from your computer, your phone. Okay.
And my brother in Paris, he caught the Google Street car, you know, like taking pictures in his street. So he followed the car, you know. So he's like 15 times on Google Street.
That's funny. I saw them sometimes, but then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hide now because I don't want to be on an image.
They're supposed to blur your face.
Yeah, I know, but you'll never know.
Yeah.
I think if you're like from a smallish town where everybody knows each other,
Yeah, it's true.
they could even like recognize you without the face. Okay, one more, and then we're done for this spread. Maybe here on the outside.
And what has been your favorite travel so far? Was it the one in Italy or?
That's a good question. I did a road trip last year to Seattle and the Olympic Peninsula and all the like national parks around there.
Okay.
In Washington State, and that was really, really
That's good.
beautiful. Yeah. And it was not how I expected it to be because I went in August and I thought it's gonna be foggy, it's gonna be cold, raining every day. It was hot. It was really hot and everything was dried out. There were wildfires in Canada, so
Ooh.
after half of our trip, everything was just full of smoke and you couldn't see anything anymore. Like we drove to this lake near a national park and I was expecting this really gorgeous lake that I saw online and all I could see was smoke.
Oh, no.
You could see the water that was like 5 meters away from you, but that's it.
Great trip.
Yeah, it was fun
Hiking in the
still.
smoke.
Yeah. That's the fun thing about traveling. You'll never know what to expect and what might happen.
That's true. What is this quote?
Go in the direction that scares you most. Is just something that I try to remind myself of, that
Or the creative direction? Or
not to get too comfortable.
Comfortable, okay. So
And
challenge yourself.
Yeah, challenge yourself. Like, even if you're like nervous about it or scared because it's something new, just do it because you're not going to do it otherwise.
Yeah, embrace the change. Yeah.
So this is what I was talking about earlier, that you should start from the right direction, which I did not do.
Okay, so
here
how can you
can
fix
just flip it.
Oh,
So
okay.
if I go back in
you have
here,
options
it's in
for
type,
type on a path.
and then you go type on path, options, and then you can just flip it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is spacing?
I don't know. I'm not sure what happens there. Can't see.
Okay.
I haven't tried
Align
that
the
yet.
baseline.
Yeah.
And you can align on...
Yeah. you
on
can,
the
like,
center. Okay.
And then, yeah. Wait. Not sure what happens if you do this. No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Descender, ascender. Oh, that's good. Oh, to make
Yeah.
sure that we see everything. That's nice,
Yeah.
actually. And the effect is rainbow, and they have other effects.
Oh.
Cute. Whoa. With like the perspective. Okay.
Yeah. 3D ribbon.
3D ribbon going crazy.
Stair step. Oh, that's fun too.
That's crazy.
Gravity. Whoa.
Whoa. Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah, more
Yeah. Okay.
options to experiment with.
Yeah. And I'm gonna move this a little bit. So when you just hover over this and you see this little icon with the arrow, you can actually move the start of it along the path. So I did that a little bit so it doesn't get too close into that corner area where it's already a bit busy. Cool. And then we just have the back cover left, which is, I was thinking of just adding a quick little quote to it. By one of my favorite poets. His name is Rainer Maria Rilke. Kathleen really loved when I said that. Quote is, "The only journey is the one within." Gonna add this down here.
Kathleen is asking, can you say that again?
Hey, Rainer Maria Rilke.
Rainer Maria Rilke?
Yeah. Okay, I was thinking maybe a bit bigger. Centered.
Kathleen couldn't make it today because she's preparing for the Extreme Games coming soon in San Francisco. So she has to work on some tricks.
What are the Extreme Games?
Yeah. She's a champ.
Oh. Now I was writing the poet's name in a text. Okay.
She will be back as soon as possible. Kathleen, want you back?
Yeah. Okay. So. So I'm gonna actually use
Where is she
the
from?
same.
Rainer Maria Rilke.
It's a he. He's I think that nowadays where the borders of the country go would be, I think, Czech Republic. But I think back then it was probably part of Austria, Hungary, like kind of that.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The empire.
Yes. So all his poetry is in German.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not big on German poetry. So do you know the quote in German?
I don't know the original quote. Was like, well, if I start looking for quotes from him, I'll just do it in English.
Yeah.
I have some of his, I have some collections of his books in German. But
Okay, so you're a big fan of...
I was in high school. I found it really interesting, his thinking.
Okay.
Okay, almost done. Cool.
Hi Rohit, thanks for joining your first Adobe Live. Good to see you. Let us know where you're from. Kathleen got disqualified. Oh my God. I need to practice more. Manuel says, he was born in Prague. Okay, so
Okay,
yeah, as you said, yeah, it would be Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Have you been to Prague? Have you ever been?
I've been there when I was really little, and I can't remember anything, unfortunately. But I definitely want to go back at some point.
It's such a beautiful city.
Yeah. I think I haven't done enough Europe traveling. Like I did it a lot when I was little because my parents love to travel, but I can't remember much.
Yeah, it's hard to to remember.
Cool.
Rohit is watching from Mumbai, India. Whoa!
Whoa, far away.
Bombay.
Cool, so I think that is it for the zine.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yay. Should we maybe walk through?
Yes, let's
what
walk
we
through
have?
one more time.
Yeah.
Maybe you can try to publish it on as an online publication.
How does that work?
Yeah, let's do the walkthrough and after I will show you.
Okay. So this is the cover. We have some white illustration on orange background and then type in black that is interlocking and the illustration is weaving around it. Second page, first spread, we have a big quote and also some illustrations trickled in between. Third spread, same kind of concept but a different background color. Also some illustrations, and then the third spread we have pink background, white title, and then some text that is pretty loose on the side. It's the story of the Frog Prince and his transformation, and meanwhile the text transforms to become illegible by the end of the spread in the 12th column. And on the next one, I think it's a lot of text. It's like very heavy.
To render.
Yeah. Okay, let's
To be
quickly go to the next
a lot
page.
of black ink.
Yes. I'm really curious how that is gonna turn out in print. I'm actually thinking of, since this is the third spread, I actually might want to have it in the middle and the fourth spread, just because then this is one piece of paper and not two pieces of paper, because this is very close to the spine or like fold of it, so I'm scared that it might be not folded correctly. So I'm just gonna switch this. So the fruit and vegetable story is hugging the text heavy story. So we have the speechless page with some fruit and vegetable jokes and some paper cutouts and images of rotten fruit.
So you found the pictures of rotten fruits on Adobe Stock?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's really interesting. I didn't think that there would be any.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I think what I did, I was thinking that I wanted to do something with food. And since the whole topic was plants, it needed to be a plant. So it was just like searching on Adobe Stock for food. And then somewhere in between, I think I found the melon.
Oh, okay.
And I thought this is actually kind of interesting because it ties into the whole concept of the like wilting plant that I have for the drawings. So then I just started searching for more and more, and then I got like all these very moldy, funny looking vegetables and fruits.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm always thinking about the photographer who said, you know what? I will take these tomatoes, wait for 4 weeks, take a picture, share it on Adobe Stock.
Seems like
and it works.
People use it. Like
someone
I use
needed
it. Yeah. It's funny. I'm wondering too, like how must that be like, taking a photo of something that probably smells really bad and that you have to have sitting somewhere for like 3 weeks. Like, how do you come up with that idea even? After the text-heavy slide, we have this, where I'm thinking that since this is the darker part, it might
It would be
go
okay with
on
purple, no?
here. I'm more thinking about the
So the quote.
yeah, so maybe I'm just gonna move
Maybe invert
this a little bit over. Maybe that it kind of overlaps, and then this a little bit, just so it doesn't.
The black is not.
But then.
But then it breaks your composition a bit.
Or maybe I'll just move the text itself a little bit. I think, I don't know. Tricky. I mean, I can always try and print it at home and see first before I have
if
it
there is an
professionally
overlap.
printed. And then, so we did this today, and then we also did the daily reminder with the colored illustrations, which we colored in Photoshop. And then we added some funny type on path elements. Same here.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Ta-da!
Yay!
Cool. So, let's try to see if we can publish it online.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I
So,
click here.
are you connected on internet? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's click on publish online. It should be really straightforward.
Is that happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
It will open a window. Okay. There is general and advanced. Usually, when I see this, I always click on advanced. I don't know. Is it your case? You know, when I have the choice, I say, okay.
No,
advanced.
it was general.
Okay, so first page, yes. Format automatic. So you can control the quality of the pictures, okay. And if we go back to general, what's happening?
That's
You
the
need
title,
to, okay.
description.
So maybe you want to give it a better title.
That plans, and then Adobe Live, Editorial, Design, Zine.
Okay, so maybe we want a spread, because the risk is that we won't be able to understand what's going on. Allow viewers to download, no. Hide the share and embed options. It's like, I think it's something that you should be able to embed this on your Behance project, for instance,
okay.
you see?
Yeah. That's
okay.
actually nice, so that you can just like see the maybe printed out piece, and I'll probably take some photos
and
of
make
that,
something
and
interactive.
then there's gonna be this where you can actually like flip through the whole thing. Cool.
So let's publish and see what it does. Okay, so now it's preparing all the assets, rendering all the pages too, making the difference between text, pictures, compressing the pictures, and uploaded everything to the cloud. And this is what they used, so when they were sharing the challenges on Tuesday and Wednesday, this is the feature that they used to share it with us. Yeah. So it's more like a nice way if you want to quickly get feedback, from a customer or another designer, instead of maybe sharing a heavy PDF.
Yeah.
You can just send a link by email.
That's fun. I haven't tried it before.
Yeah, it's something that we introduced maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but it's not very famous. It's not one of the most well-known features of InDesign. But I really like this feature. So the first time it takes time, but what's good is that when you update a few spreads, it will just detect, what is updated and just upload what has to be updated.
Oh,
so
that's smart.
It's way faster. Yeah. So now it's computing, and you have 11 minutes left. So 11 minutes to submit your portfolio that we will review with Stefanie. Okay, if you want to submit a link to your portfolio, all the informations are in the portfolio review tab. Karin's asking, does it save it as a PDF? So no, you will see it will create an interactive web experience. So you just have to share a link with someone else. That's really the powerful feature of this. To export as a PDF, I guess to save as a PDF, it's just a feature of InDesign. You go in the File menu and you say Export as PDF or Save as PDF, and you choose the quality. Quality options.
So where does that live then? Is that like in my Creative Cloud kind of?
It lives in a shared Creative Cloud,
Yeah.
but it's not taking your space. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a shared Creative Cloud for all InDesign users.
Okay.
So it's an Adobe server, which is secured, and know what's happening. Okay, so
Uploading your document.
yeah. So
okay.
before it was, you see, like it was really like analyzing all the pages. You had like high resolution pictures, so
Yeah.
it created like standard resolution pictures for the web, so that we don't have to download like 20 megabytes, for one single illustration.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you can click on View Document. So you see there is a link that you can
yeah.
copy and share.
Yeah.
And if you
I
click
can
on View
share it on
Document,
social
it should
media.
open the browser.
Okay.
Here we go.
Let's see.
Okay, maybe you want to go
Oh,
full
nice.
screen.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a nice background.
Nice.
It tells you it's page 1 out of 9. There we go. It's also beautiful to see it like in the browser like this, huh?
No, it's not.
Yeah. Or we can use the arrow keys maybe if you want to.
I think it's probably
It's still loading in the
because,
background.
my images are pretty big.
Yeah. So I saw some optimizations, like we could optimize some features. I saw that like in the advanced settings. Oh yeah, it's still loading.
Oh, yeah.
And here I think is a nice view,
Oh,
you know,
nice.
where you can
Yeah.
directly. Oh, this one would be crazy to render.
Sorry.
I hope it becomes a picture and this is not text. Otherwise, the browser will
It
explode.
will crash.
It will explode. I think
Computer
that's
will
why it's
go
having
up
a
in
hard time.
smoke. Yeah.
I think you broke
Oh
Chrome.
my god. I broke the Adobe server.
Too much text.
Okay.
So yeah, this is how it works, and these are the sharing options I was
Okay.
mentioning.
Yeah.
Email. So there is a way I know to embed it on your
Oh, there, embed.
embed. So if you click on embed, if you copy paste this code in your Behance project, then it should be like everyone can read, you know, your publication.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can design the size. You can disable full screen or enable full screen.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yay.
Okay, did it render everything? No, this one is like.
No. It's gonna take until tomorrow.
Seriously, that's funny. I should share this example with the InDesign team actually, because you can tell like it's trying to render text.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So I guess it keeps the text properties. Huh. And here, so is it? Yeah, you can zoom in.
Yeah.
And after we have 7 minutes. Okay, so we will try to do something after. I will show you.
Okay.
I don't know how it works, so we will have to discover it together. But I know it's possible.
Okay.
We'll see if.
This one rendered.
Yeah, so what is this? Zoom in. Yeah, so maybe this is still text, you see, because it's perfect.
Yeah.
So that's why it's going crazy with the.
Probably. Maybe I should outline it before.
Yeah, oh, that's fine. Just to test, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So if we go back to InDesign, I know there is a way, and maybe some friends in the chat can let me know how. You see, like just displaying this page in InDesign is like, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It works, it works. So there is a way to animate this. So when we display the covers, we can do like, you know, like.
Wow. How?
I don't know. I'm not sure how, but I know we can. So, and we have 6 minutes before reviewing the portfolios. Okay, so let's try to do this and to crush this. So, usually what I always use, I don't know if you do the same. Okay, so there is menu item. Okay, interactive, animations. Hello. Name group. Okay, preset. Okay, so we can say.
Can have it fade in.
Fade in would be
out.
a classy behavior, I guess. Duration 1 second. Play 1 time. Yeah. And we have some properties. Okay, I think we can preview it here.
Yeah.
Okay, exporting HTML. Okay, so I don't know if you saw it, but it was very small. But if we may play it again. It's writing the PNG again. Here we go.
Oh, nice.
Okay, and the number 1 maybe could have a different...
Yeah, I could, no, grow.
Grow, yeah, it would be a bit cheesy, but we can try it. Animate, okay. Events on page load. You can say on click, you know, like you can really make it like interactive.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. And what is this? Show the timing panel. Okay, on page load.
So you could
Play
take like
group one.
different, yeah.
And maybe this one we can delay it. And say,
Yeah.
okay, wait for 1 second.
Yeah, so when the first one is done, the second one will start.
Exactly. Okay, so it will be quite small. Exporting a PNG. 1
Wow,
and 2.
it's growing.
Okay. And I think that when you publish online, it's supposed to keep these animations.
Oh, cool.
So that's nice because, of course, if you print it or export the PDF, then
Yeah.
you won't have the animations. But online, you can have a different experience. You can also embed music, a video, if you have a video of dead plants, you know, like a time lapse. I don't know.
Would the animation still be available if you, for example, export it as a interactive PDF?
Yeah, so what I would recommend in this case, if you want, let's say, it becomes a publication that you want to distribute for iPad users, you know, in the, I don't remember the name, where you can buy, you know, like books or e-publications. So you can export to the EPUB format, which is a standard format that can play animations. You can search for the text. So if I search for something that is quoted here, it will tell me, oh, you said no point on page 7. And it becomes like a real interactive book.
Yeah, that's cool.
And again, embed videos, music, and everything is in design. That's what I like. Like you don't have to use another tool to create something interactive.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for showing me.
Okay, so it will export again. Yeah. And we know what's happening here. We know which page. It's trying to render a specific page in the publication. We know which one.
Yeah.
The frog and the princess. Seriously, I should share the sample with the team. We're like, okay, if you want to crash the publish online feature, we have a good sample.
Yep.
And then in 2 minutes, we should get the 2 portfolios and we will do the portfolio reviews, okay?
Amazing.
So hopefully we will publish this one online. So yeah, let us know what you think. I really like the Den Blends zine. So what will you do with this? Will you try to print it for real?
Yeah, I was thinking of printing it for real on tablet-sized newsprint paper.
Okay.
There's this online service from the UK where you can send your files and then they send you the zines back.
Okay.
And the cool thing is that it starts from like 1 piece. Like you can order 1 until like, I don't know, 500 pieces of this or even more, which is great because you could just like order 2, 3 and see if it works. And then afterwards actually like do the whole run of it.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And they also send you like samples of the actual paper.
Christopher talks about newspaper club.
Yes, exactly. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Elena Miska last time she used Newspaper Club. I know one of the guests one day used Newspaper Club for sure.
Yeah, they're amazing. Okay, so if we view the document.
Okay, let's see. Do we have an animation?
Please, yes. Oh, it's growing.
Okay, maybe we should do like grow and fade at the same time.
Maybe.
It was a little bit weird. But it worked,
I love that. Yeah, it worked. Amazing.
And you can have like a flying
Yeah.
text, flying images. Like you can take the fruits, and
Yeah.
they're flying, and then you display the quotes.
I loved doing that back in the day in high school. Like when you
Yeah.
did like presentations in PowerPoint,
Yeah, exactly.
I was going crazy with all the animations and effects and everything.
So now you can do the same.
Yeah,
with
I did
InDesign.
not know this was possible in InDesign. It's amazing.
Great. Okay, look, the countdown. 15 seconds left, and we will start reviewing the portfolios. So that's exciting. Thanks again, Stefanie, for the great
Yeah,
work.
thank
It
you.
looks awesome. And once you have the final piece printed, make sure to share some with us.
Yeah.
Maybe we could give away some issues, to
Yeah.
people in the chat. It could be a good
Yeah, that would
chat
be
and
fun.
one prize. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you plan to document also everything on Behance, maybe?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna upload everything on Behance. Once I have
Awesome.
it printed, I'm gonna take some nice photos and then also share this
Cool.
link inside so you can flip through it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And maybe you have to outline this one or find a trick with
Yeah,
the
maybe.
typeface.
I think probably gonna upline it. Or
Or a
I don't know,
screenshot.
like export it as
Export
a
as
PNG
picture and
first and then
put
add
it
it
back,
back in.
Sounds like a good idea. Okay, I think it's time for the portfolio reviews. So we will just travel in space and come back for
yeah.
some portfolio reviews. Okay, let's do that now. Okay. We're back in the spaceship, the Behance
Yeah.
spaceship. Hi, Stefanie.
Hello.
Are
How
you
are you?
ready for portfolio reviews?
Yes, I am.
Let me load the first portfolio of Carlos Ortega. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's safe. We can remove it as a... Oh, I'm just punching the microphones.
Oh,
Paco, can you hear me? Okay. So, Carlos is watching us. Yeah, remember, Carlos, you said, hey, I'm Carlos from Bogota, and then we will review your portfolio.
hey, Carlos.
Okay, so Stefanie, let's pretend that you want to hire a designer in your agency.
Okay.
Okay, so you are like browsing some portfolios and describe how you feel, what is your first impression, what you want to discover. Maybe first, what I like to do is just make sure that there is a description. Very
Yeah.
important, always introduce yourself. He's 29, okay?
Yeah.
Good to know. It's actually a very important piece of information, I feel, for hiring and freelance. Okay.
I find that is very important to highlight that if you're looking for work right now, then you should definitely state that you're either looking for freelance work or to be hired full-time. I think that's really important to know. Because maybe you just have a portfolio up and you're not looking for a job, or you're actually looking for something, and if you don't have that description in there, people might be like, well, I'm not sure if he's
Yeah.
available or not, and I think that's always good to have.
To make it very clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Good feedback. So when you look at this, like, what is your first impression?
I like that it's very colorful and that every thumbnail kind of feels different. I like all these like crops into detail views of things. Think it's gives every single project a different feel and makes it interesting, so you actually want to click on stuff. Like if everything was just the same kind of style, then I might not want to click into certain projects because I already see the whole thing and I'm like, well, it's the same. And I like that it's exciting and that there is a lot of different things going on.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
graphic design for
yeah.
sure. Branding, logo, some editorial. Okay, so which
Yeah.
one do you want to discover?
Maybe let's click on the illustrations 2018. I like that you have different sometimes groups of things. Like for example, this is all illustrations. I saw further down
Yeah,
you have logo
logos.
collections. That's kind of cool
Yeah,
too.
you like when...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's efficient too, because if you have like 6 projects with all illustrations, yeah, maybe it's smarter to just gather
Yeah.
everything in the same experience.
It really depends on what it is. Like sometimes projects just live by actually showing a showcase of that one project, and just taking out the logo and showing it in a collection might not convey the whole idea. But for some things like illustration, I feel like it's interesting to see a compilation of everything, just to see like your skill, the variety of work. Yeah, it's interesting. That's nice.
Yeah, also playing with the composition, like you can see that it's sometimes like the graphic designer has a lot of influence on the illustrator in this case. Yeah.
So when I see this, I'm wondering, is this something you created for yourself, for one client, multiple clients? Is there a description? No, it's just random illustrations.
Yeah, so maybe
Yeah.
you can explain that this is something that you, maybe an exercise
Yeah.
that you on
I
on
think
the
that's
side.
always interesting to just hear your thinking behind these illustrations. Also, just to state if this is something you do in your own time because you like to do illustrations, and you're interested in doing more of this, or if this is actually client work. So I think that would be interesting to know. Let's do
Okay.
something graphic design.
Okay,
Maybe that Stuart Cohen looks interesting.
one?
Yeah.
so art direction, creative direction, and graphic design. Okay, so Stuart Cohen, who is a photographer and a director.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the logo,
Yeah,
close up of the type,
identity,
which is really nice to do.
Yeah.
Cool.
oh yeah, some posters, the business cards.
Nice. I like that this all feels very consistent.
Yeah.
The way it's shown.
Oh, and here I guess then Stuart can use it also to share pictures, you know.
Yeah. I like that. The only thing I was wondering is, where did that red color come from?
Okay.
Why did you choose like such a bright, strong color? Because it seems like everything else is very black and white and has this like gold or kind of copperish foil to it. But other than that, it's super interesting. I think it's really nicely laid out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. Maybe another project.
Here it says branding, so maybe
Yeah.
we can see how you present branding. So wireless for all, Metro PCS. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess these are the colors that you're using. It's like a gray and the gradient. Would be interesting maybe to add like little headlines to it saying that it's the colors that are
to
being
explain.
used.
Yeah.
It could be, maybe I'm wrong, maybe those are icons that are being used, but it would be interesting to just have a little description to it. This is nice. I like that you kind of present the work in a similar way as to the other project, where it's like nice and flat, all laid out next to each other. It's a nice overview of everything.
Some mock-ups.
Oh, it's nice. Yeah. It's always fun to add like some images, even if it's mock-ups, in between flat designs. That's cool.
I would add also a little bit of maybe more context. Like it's always good with branding to summarize like what was the challenge of the customer, you know, with wireless for all. So I guess the message was, okay, we can bring wireless to everyone, but what is the challenge? Maybe what is the competition doing? So it will just add more value and more context to your design choices. And say, okay, that's why Carlos used this. Maybe that's why he's using these colors.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting to, maybe you want to start off with like a catchy image in the beginning, so people are like, oh, this is interesting, kind of like your cover image, the thumbnail that you have. And then afterwards, I would quickly jump into some sort of description about the project so people know what it's about, maybe because sometimes it might not be 100% obvious what it is. and you could explain what the challenges are, what you had to work with, and I always feel like it's also a good place to add credits in case you haven't worked on a project all by yourself and weren't the only creative person on this. Then I would always state the creative director on the project, other designers, art directors, photographers, illustrators.
And this is something you can do here. You see credits, like you can add multiple people, unless you are the only one working on this, of course.
Yeah, but then I would also just state that you just worked on this all by yourself, because I feel like this is also, like, people might not know if it doesn't say anything, then they might be like, did this person work on this all by themselves, or was there a team? I think it's always nice to highlight responsibilities and roles.
Okay. So this one is interesting, and because he worked on his own identity, as a designer, which is always a question, like you can have, especially as a freelancer. Do you need a logo? Do you need a brand? Like there are some designers we had, such as Gordon, but his nickname in the design industry is Middle Boop, So sometimes they change the, just find a nickname, like a brand.
I think like the branding for yourself is always the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I like that you have that animation there in the beginning. It's kind of fun. I love that.
There was the tilted O. I think that's the trick that really pops here. Graphic design art director, very strong typeface, very seated, which is good.
Same way I like how you keep basically the same style of presenting your work throughout all the projects. I like the little GIF in the end too. This is fun. I feel like this project, for example, does not need a lot of explanation because it's obvious it's branding for yourself. But if it's a client project, I feel like there should always be like some sort of description. Also, if it's just like 1 or 2 sentences, just so the viewer knows what it's about.
And we have some editorial design. Look at that.
Fun.
Okay, so Jackson Avenue, Long Island City. So maybe it's a building, your new urban lifestyle. Oh, I guess it's to promote a building, to buy apartments or something.
Yeah, it's like real estate. So
2222. That's funny because it looks like a building too.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that icon.
Yeah. And I like that it's like you can find the same structure here.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it really resonates. It's tied to the actual building. It's very smart. And urban lifestyle, doing something more funky, like very good.
It's fun. It's like roofs, kind of like.
Yeah, it's true. Like from the
or
view
steps.
from the top. Yeah. There's a nice moire effect when you scroll.
Oh my god.
Having some dimension. Neighborhood. Yeah. I mean, it's very very cool. Like. That would be cool in this case, Carlos, if you can explain who was the demographics, the targeted audience, because I can tell when I see like the editorial choice, the pictures that are targeting like maybe young couples or people moving to the city in a hip area. It's always good to, and maybe it's a common feedback for all these projects. Because the way you present is super clean, like very professional. So start with something strong.
Yeah.
Just this, or it could be the building, like a big picture of the building and just the logo on top. Give some context. Okay, this was a challenge of the customer, and this is how I try to solve this.
Yeah.
And then you're very good at presenting.
Yeah. The only thing that I wanted to add to this project was that you were showing a lot of editorial spreads behind each other. It's all like flat, like spread after spread. I think it would be interesting to maybe spice it up a little bit and add like a detail view of a spread. Like there are tons of mock-ups I'm sure you could use where it's maybe from an angle on the side where you just like look on top of the publication a bit. I think it would be interesting for this illustration spread where you more like show a detail of that illustration of the building.
I really like this project.
Yeah.
Because there is a clear intent. It's very
really
good.
Pretty.
Yeah. Cool. And he's 29.
Yeah.
Good job, Carlos. It's really
Yeah.
good. And he has been featured 4 times already in the graphic design category of Behance. So that's a big deal. It's awesome.
Great work, Carlos.
And you can see here which one has been featured.
Yeah.
There is a little flag. That's what we want when we're on Behance.
Cool.
Yeah. Very good portfolio.
Yeah.
And also it's very clear, like I'm not distracted. Maybe a little bit by the illustrations. I would say that's the only one because unless you really want to become a professional illustrator full time, then maybe that's why it's in first position. But I feel that the projects such as the Jackson Avenue or what you did for Metro is like stronger.
Yeah.
Always pay attention to this. So something that's some Behance users don't know is that you may think that this order is the chronological order, and that's the default behavior of Behance. You publish a project, it goes to the first position. Actually, you can reorder this project. So this is something you can also play with and experiment and say, okay, for 2 weeks, I will put my illustration work at the top and see how it goes. And for 2 weeks, I will put my graphic design or editorial design work and see how it goes.
Yeah, I also feel like it makes sense, for example, if you're looking for a job and you want to apply at certain agencies that maybe are like more fashion oriented, then you could move all your more fashion and art direction or editorial design, everything that kind of fits into that world in the first row. So this is what they see first, even if it's an older project, like if it fits more into that world, move it to the top. And afterwards, you can always like change the order again.
Awesome. Yeah. Good job, Carlos. Super strong. 29. This is awesome.
Amazing.
And now we have another portfolio from Europe.
Nice.
Agi or Agi Keltay, student at Academy of Arts, San Francisco. Okay. But then Budapest, Hungary. So it's a mix of cultures here.
Amazing.
This is interesting.
Nice.
So maybe you're still in the chat and you can tell us more about your story, or maybe you could update your Behance profile so we get a better understanding. Are you still a student? I guess so. And I guess you're from Hungary, but maybe you can tell us more,
Yeah, like a bit of a bio, like could be 2-3 sentences just saying who you are, where you're studying maybe or working, and then what your focus is or what you're most interested in. Like, is it branding? Is it editorial design? Is it photography, illustration? Just state what you're interested in. It helps people understand more. Oh, a lot of projects.
Yeah. And so combining a lot of disciplines here. Oh, self-portrait. Okay, so you will see who you are. Here you are.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so a lot of photography work, a lot of experiments with collage. Okay, and now more and more documentary, typography poster study. And then if we get closer, then we have more editorial design, branding. Okay, so also a piece of advice I give all the time is you don't want to put everything on a portfolio. As Stefanie said, try to anticipate if you want to find a job, what an agency is expecting or a creative director is expecting. So don't hesitate to curate your portfolio. Okay, maybe you don't have to share an experiment with counterforms, that you made. It's already like 4 years ago. Maybe you say, okay, maybe it's stronger that I directly share what I did like last year at school. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, like, do you curate your portfolio also?
I curate my website. I don't curate my Behance that much because I like to just keep that as a record of things that I once had in my portfolio. So there might be more projects than I should have in there, but I try to keep the most recent and most like what I want to do in the future in the front section, like in the very top. And on my website, I try to keep it to 6 to maybe 8 or 10 projects at a time, not more, because I feel like most people don't have the time to go through every single project.
Yeah.
Like if you're hiring, you probably look at maybe 3-4 projects at a time, just like picking the ones that look most interesting, depending on your thumbnail or cover image.
Yeah, no, it's true. And there's also a trick on Behance, so you can unpublish a project and it becomes a draft project, so it's not deleted, it's still there, and you can publish it at any time. So
I feel like you have like a lot of different work from all sorts of creative fields. Like I saw photography, illustration, typography, books. I think it would be interesting to maybe change the order a bit so you group them more into like all the books are in one row, all the illustration work. So it's more obvious that you have all these different disciplines. I think that could be an interesting way to solve that.
This book cover, it's very well documented.
Oh, yeah.
So not only it looks great, it's also very well documented.
I love when people have work in progress shots in their in their portfolio, just because I feel like it gives you way more context of how it was created. Like if you just see the first image of the book cover, you might think, oh, like that person probably just created it in Photoshop or InDesign or somewhere. But it's actually all handmade, which is amazing.
It's about the Freemasons, so that's why there was a compass. Okay, I get it. To cut words. Okay, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Very nice. Basic descriptions, awesome. Also, a piece of advice. A lot of users I know, they don't scroll down to the basic descriptions. It used to be at the top and now it's at the bottom. It's always good to add a paragraph at the beginning again, just to add some context. But I really like this project. I don't know what you think.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I like all the like hand-drawn, like handmade, like crafty things. So that's really cool to see your process behind that.
Yeah, like again. So she used a very cool feature on Behance, which is this.
Oh.
So you can...
it's like a grid?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the word I was looking for, the photo grid. So you can upload like 20 pictures and it will create the grid for you.
Oh, that's fun.
And it looks great.
Yeah.
And then I can deep dive in the details.
Is that feature relatively new?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like I haven't seen that like last time, like 2 years ago or so.
2 years ago it wasn't there. It wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay, with some interactive pieces. Okay, the website about the book.
Cool.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So for a mock-up, my advice, I wouldn't use it 4 times. Like you can maybe use it once so we understand that now we're talking about the website. And then
afterwards, I would probably just show the flat design, website design. Maybe if you want to add like a little like browser window around it, just something that you understand that this is a website, but you don't have to repeat the same mock-up 4 times. I think if you have it once as the first web design mock-up in there, then it's easy for us to understand, okay, now we're talking about this.
Now a bakery. We have to end on the bakery.
Yeah.
The 3 tabby cats. Okay.
Ooh.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I like the typeface.
Yeah. The cats are so cute.
Yeah, it's very nice.
That's nice.
I'm talking about Ska. Okay, so very,
Yeah.
It's funny because it's a very, I would say, strong and almost like traditional typeface that you would feel maybe designed in the 20s, something like but then mixed with a playful illustration, I think it works very well.
I think it works so well because the type also has these like very pointy M's and A's, and that kind of corresponds
like
to the ears.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good point.
That's fun. Yeah, I like that you're combining these like photos of the actual store with the design, like the mock. I don't know if it's mock-ups or like photos of.
I think it's real.
I meant like the in the end.
Oh, at
like
the end,
these, like the business cards.
It looks looks great.
I like the combination.
Very good job on this one. Yeah, I mean,
cool.
I think it's almost time. Yeah, so
yay.
Awesome work. Make sure to follow Agi if you are watching, and great. And if you're a student in San Francisco, this is great. Maybe you could become a host on Adobe Live. It's next door. And become a guest. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Stefanie. Thanks for the great week.
Yeah,
and
thank you for having me.
working on this awesome Dead Plants publication, and I'm really looking forward to see it in my hands printed.
Yeah.
With,
I'm looking forward to.
it will be awesome. So make sure to share. Send us some
we'll definitely do
some issues. And you have a good time?
Yeah, it was super fun. Thank you for having me. Thank you everybody for joining us. It was very fun with the chat, everybody contributing. So
Yeah,
was
we have a lot of
amazing.
quotes from the
Yeah.
chat. Dead plants. Maybe we can play.
Oh,
We
yeah.
play. Look at this
Oh.
beautiful and cheesy animation. Can we do like dead plants?
Ooh.
Number 1. This is great, and make sure to follow Stefanie on Behance because she will publish all the details about this project in one single Behance project,
Yeah.
and maybe the interactive piece. Maybe
Yeah,
you'll add more
definitely, yeah.
crazy animations. This will be awesome. So stay tuned because we will be back on Adobe Live in about 5 minutes with Lucas. Okay, he will continue playing with all these InDesign features, trying to break InDesign. It's very close to breaking. We almost broke InDesign today.
Yeah.
With your composition, but Lucas is working on it. And the show will be hosted by another Michael Jarrott. Again, next week, no live stream, okay? We all take a break, but you have time to enjoy the replays. We all hope that you will have fun next week if you live in the US, because you will have some days off, of course. And we will be back in 2 weeks with some photography content, so with photographers.
Amazing.
Okay, stay tuned and see you in 5 minutes on behance.net/live. Bye, everyone.
Bye.